Welcome to EFO Talks. We are welcoming today Luca Jordan, full professor of social and political anthropology at the University of Bologna, member of the Italian Ethnological Mission in Equatorial Africa since 2001. He has carried out a field research on youth and war, childhood crisis, informal economies, and the frontier in North Kivu, that is Democratic Republic of Congo. So, Professor Jordan, can you maybe tell us about yourself and how you arrived at Democratic Republic of Congo and all that is going on?
Yeah, the first time I went to Congo was in 2000. So actually the war in Congo started in 1996, and so it is more than 10, it's about 30 years of war in Congo, especially in the east region near Rwanda. At the beginning, I was working with NGO, then I started my PhD focusing on the Congo in the east, on the war in the east region of Congo, North and South Kivu. So actually, the conflict is very complicated and very violent conflict. As I just said, it started in 96. In 94, we had the genocide in Rwanda, and after the genocide, more than 1 million Hutu refugees went into Congo. And then we had a war, the war with the AFDL, which was a rebel movement supported by Rwanda and Uganda, who took power in Kinshasa in 97, and then a second war in 98, again, this time by some rebel group like the Rassemblement Congolais pour la Démocratie and other groups supported again by Rwanda and Uganda. So, I mean, the east, the region, the Kivu region, the North Kivu, the capital of North Kivu is Goma, which now has been captured by the M23, this rebel movement, is really at the core of this war. And there are different dimensions of war. First of all, some economic dimension, because the East region are very rich in mineral. Minerals such as coltan, columbotantalite, such as gold, such as some diamonds, cassiterite, etc., etc. Cobalt more in the south, etc. So it's very rich, and so there is interest from the local warlords to control these resources. Then there are other dimension of the conflict. No, there is let's say a conflict between the groups who consider themselves autochthonous. No? They say we are really Congolese, and some other groups who are considered, outsider. So some of the Banyarwanda, Banyarwanda are the people who speaks Rwanda, because some of the Banyarwanda were, I mean, they were there since long time. The community were integrated since long time, etc. But the conflict started actually in the 90s. This conflict, this ethnic conflict between these two groups started in the 90s. Then we have some more, let's say, local conflict on land, because land, there is, a competition for land, and this competition for land has also exacerbated the conflict between the different group, and exacerbated the ethnic identity, etc., etc. So when we come to what is going on today, the M23 is not a new rebel movement. No, it was already there since 10 years ago. Then it was defeated, and then it was about 2 years who was making war north of Goma, etc., etc. And really, they were able to capture, to get in control of Goma. So, of course, MT20, we have to say that in the East Congo, we have more than 100 rebel groups, different rebel groups. So this means that so different rebel groups, some small militia, some small groups, etc., etc. And of course, the Mai Mai militia, local militia, etc., etc. So among these rebel group, the M23 is absolutely the most organized, because is supported by Rwanda. Of course, the Rwanda government deny to support
Mhm.
that they do support the N23, but actually uh, we know very well, and I think this is quite clear, that even some Rwandan troops were fighting within the M23, etc. And as even you can see from, the TV, whatever, the M23 compared to other militia, they have good weapons, they are trained, etc., etc. So the M23 was able to capture, to get Goma, and Congolese army, the FARDC, les Forces Armées de la République démocratique du Congo, they were defeated, but this is not surprising because, the Congolese army is very badly organized. There is a lot of corruption. And the Congolese army, after the peace agreement was created, by putting together all the different rebel groups, etc., etc. So this army is not really there are different chain of commanders, which are not able. Sometimes they don't want to fight against the rebels because maybe they were in alliance with the rebels before, etc., etc. So the Congolese army, even if you look at the history of the Congolese army, it has always been, an army with many, many problems and unable to control, the national territory. So the situation, of course, is that, Rwanda is somehow, supporting M23 in order to control this region of the Kivu, where some of the population are Rwanda speakers, and of course is very rich in minerals, etc.
Yeah. So what I remember is that in 1994, when there was the genocide in Rwanda, and shortly after, um, there were lots of refugees that went to that region. There was a huge refugee camp near Goma. So, but that refugee camp was there already before, way,
Yes.
way before, many years before. Because, like, what I remember, the history of Rwanda is that there were many diasporas already in the 60s and then in the 70s. And then, so all these people went to live in the surrounding zones and abroad. And then they reorganized to come back. Not all of them, a few. Um, the big, so are these the same people that now are, or part of them,
No, I should
creating
say
the problems? So because I know that there is a lot of clash, even in Europe, when a Congolese meets a Rwandan, it doesn't go well.
no, 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 of course. No, to make it a bit simple, the problem of Rwanda is that Rwanda has always been surrounded by refugee camps where the refugees try to organize themselves in order to
To
come
survive.
back and get power. And even
Mm.
the Rwanda Patriotic Front, who took power in 94 and actually put an end to the genocide, they came from Uganda and they were Tutsi refugees in Uganda who did organize themselves, and then they started in 91 to make war to Rwanda and try to conquer the country. So when the genocide started in 7 April 94, and after 3 months, the Rwanda Patriotic Front was able to capture Kigali. Is it correct? Capture to get in control of
Yes.
Kigali. And 1.2 million Hutu, they left, they fled Rwanda, and they went to East Congo, near Goma, near Bukavu, etc., etc., because they were afraid to be killed by the Rwanda Patriotic Front. They were afraid of a revenge of the Tutsi.
Mhm.
So in this refugee camp, huge refugee camp near Goma, etc., etc., the militia who committed the genocide, they started to reorganize themselves. At that time, these militia were called the Interamwe, which were the responsible for the genocide. So, and they start to reorganize themselves within the refugee camp in Congo and start to attack again Rwanda, etc., etc. So that's why in 96, the Rwanda invaded this part of Congo, and then they supported the rebellion of the AFDL, a rebel movement led by Laurent Désiré Kabila, who took power in 97, putting an end to Mobutu regime, who was in power since 65, but even before, if you want. Then, you know, the alliance between Kabila and Kagame Museveni went bad. So Kabila wanted to become more autonomous, and so there was again a new rebellion in East Congo supported by Rwanda, Uganda, etc., etc. So one one of the one of the motivation that Rwanda, no, gives to to operate in Congo is that in Congo there are still no some genocidal militia, Hutu genocidal
Yeah.
militia who want to
And they
come back to
justify
Rwanda. Yeah,
because they want to catch them,
yeah.
what they say.
These militia now they are called FDLR, Front de Libération de Rwanda, no? Which are actually they are not so many. I could not say the number, some thousand, but not so many. And somehow they are the heir of the Interamwe. But you have to understand that you know the militia of Interamwe were there in '94, so it is more than 30 years ago. So maybe now we have new elements, new people, some maybe some old commanders are still there, etc. So somehow Rwanda use the fact that there are some elements of this of the FDLR in Congo to legitimize the Rwanda intervention into Congo. Mm. And the M23 actually was started. It was the leader of the M23 at the beginning was part and official of the new Congolese army, no, who who made you know who a mutinery is I think is correct. There was a mutinery
Yeah.
against the etc. Against the national army, etc. And so there's this new rebellion. Of course, Rwanda officially denied to support the M23 because they have, you know, they deny to support the N23 for different reasons. Of course, I can understand that, but it is it is impossible, no, that such a movement, no, can you know behave, can be so, no, so can be
Organize.
able to conquer Goma without the support of the Rwanda.
Okay. And how is the situation? Do you have information about how things are going on? So, can international humanitarian help get into Goma or not?
Uh,
Where they're already there?
Goma is the capital of the NGO. We have tens and tens of international NGO in Goma because, of course, during the war, no, there was a lot of humanitarian intervention and we have the longest UN mission in the history of the more expensive UN mission because the UN mission in Congo started in '99. No? The MONUC now and MONUSCO. So they were all there during the invasion of the M23. And I think they are still there because they were not chased. Of course, the M23 committed some massacres in Goma. We don't know exactly how many people died, but they committed some massacres.
In the past few weeks?
Yes, yes, of
Yes.
course.
And now what? I mean, so the forces at play, we figured out it's between locals, actually. Except there is a suspicion, quite realistic, that the Rwandan state is supporting them. Is there any other external intervention that is considered likely? Say,
It is.
even companies could be interested, the owners of the mines or foreign interests of some kind.
Of course, it is very difficult to say, no, who is supporting the M23, no, apart from Rwanda. Maybe Uganda is still, in the game, but we don't know. No, it's difficult to say, even because, everybody wants to deny we are not there, blah, 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 no, which is quite ridiculous sometimes to say that Rwanda is not supporting the M23. So it is very difficult to say. Even when you look at the okay mineral dimension, there are local networks, that, for example, when you look at the way coltan or gold is, transported from the East Congo to Kigali or to Kampala, and then from there is sold in the international market, etc. I guess that, of course, the economic actors, they are always there and they are ready to adapt themselves to the new situation, So this region has been ravaged by war since 30 years, so it's not something exceptional what is going on nowadays. I mean, the only exception is that M23 was able to conquer Goma, which is the capital city, etc. But we have to consider that, the war was there, the war was there. The M23 was, controlling the north region of Goma, near Goma. It was not far from Goma, etc. Was fighting near Lubero, etc., etc. So, and it is, I mean, nothing. So, we have to understand that, okay, there is nothing completely new in this, no, in this situation nowadays, because the rebel group were always active, etc., etc.
Mm.
And again, I'm quite sure that from the economic point of view, uh, the economic actor can adapt themselves very well, very quickly, etc. And we have to add something that sometimes when you think to the Congolese National Army, somehow the logic of the Congolese National Army is not so different from the logic of the rebel groups, because
Mm.
when you look the way the army was deployed in East Congo, you can see that sometimes they were deployed near some mineral site, etc., etc. Because even the general within the national army, they do participate to to a war economy. They try to control different network of mineral trade, etc., etc. So this
Mm.
logic is there. No, there is nothing new nowadays. So it's a system, and then can adapt and readapt to the new situation. So, and the fact that, the advantage is maybe for the company which have a big capital to invest, and that they must show, transparency, etc., etc. Maybe the East Congo is not a good, is not a good deal, but for small company, etc., etc., it's quite, it's quite perfect. Um, Second, we must add that the European Union made an agreement with Rwanda on the trade of minerals. No?
Mm.
So there is an agreement made between the European Union and Rwanda for minerals, sustainability, the chain of mineral, and blah blah blah. So
But
somehow Rwanda, was and we know very well that Rwanda is poor in mineral. No, it's very
yes,
poor
but
in mineral.
that's
Yeah,
but
and
the
so
Euro sorry.
yeah, sorry. No, no. Somehow Rwanda is considered by European Union as a partner, no, as a commercial partner in the field of minerals, while they don't have minerals. So it's somehow
It's well known that they don't have minerals. So
exactly.
somehow the European Union is supporting this pillage, this stealing.
I think that indirectly, yes, indirectly,
Oh.
yes. And and actually some now Belgium, France, they started to say, we have to, to see. We have to change with this agreement, etc., etc. But the European Union is very shy and is quite ineffective actually. And second, the Rwanda regime, Paul Kagame, etc., etc. Um, somehow they were able to capitalize on the genocide, because
Mhm.
somehow they used the genocide and the fact that, let's say the Western world didn't do anything to stop genocide, and actually France was involved in the genocide. And so they use this, let's say, political capital in order to legitimize their action in Congo, because somehow, you
Mhm.
know, uh, we are very shy to criticize Rwanda. Second, when you look at what Kagame was doing, for example, Kagame no, was making a deal with UK for the refugees that UK was
Yes,
uh, sorry,
to take back the
the
refugees from
refugee,
the, yeah.
etc. Exactly.
Did it go through this?
Sorry,
Did
what it was.
the deal go through? Or was it stopped? I didn't follow.
No, 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 it went wrong. I mean, I think that they stopped it because it was not possible according to the constitution, whatever.
Yeah,
But
even
somehow,
from a humanitarian point, it doesn't
yeah,
make sense.
but but you see, Italy is trying to do the same thing with Albania. So it
Yes,
was a kind of model. So somehow, Paul Kagame is quite. I mean, the international community or European diplomacy, they like him because somehow he's able to,
he's eloquent.
exactly.
He's
So this
eloquent. Yeah.
no, so this is why somehow Rwanda is involved in the Congo, in the war in Congo since long time, but no sanction, nothing. Sorry.
So no sanctions, but um, maybe now sanctions could come about because there is a lot in the media about Goma being seized by this rebels group. Mm,
Yeah,
what
it's
can we
possible.
expect in the future? Do you have any idea?
No, it is possible. We have to see, but uh, maybe nowadays we have so many wars that Congo is not really a priority in the agenda of the let's say
No,
international
there is
politics.
Sudan
But
not far away,
Sudan, okay, Gaza, Ukraine,
Yemen,
etc., etc.
Ukraine,
Yeah.
Israel, Gaza. There's too
No,
many.
it's such a mess nowadays. But I think that it's possible, and maybe uh, we, okay, we can make some section. We have to see if they are effective or not effective, etc., etc. Because that is not something automatic. But I think that somehow Rwanda should be clearly condemned for the fact that they are supporting M23 and not only the M23 in Congo.
Mm. Yeah. Yes. Well, thank you very much
Okay, it was a pleasure.
for the contextualization. And so we have a clearer idea of what is happening in this part of the world, which is far away, but sadly always in war, which it's a beautiful place.
I think so beautiful, very beautiful,
Yes.
because the east part of Congo, as Rwanda is now, is very fertile, beautiful hills, etc.,
Would be
etc.
perfect for a vacation if there wasn't
Absolutely.
constant
It
war.
was, you have the Virunga Park
Yes.
in the Kivu, which was the oldest park in Africa, etc.,
Mhm.
etc. So, and in the past, it was, they had a lot of tourists there. But nowadays, this region is in war since '96, and actually in Kivu, the conflict between the local group, the groups who consider themselves autochthonous, because I mean nobody's autochthonous, of course, but and other group like Rwanda, etc., started actually in 92. So when the refugee, and I don't want to make things too much complicated, but when the Hutu refugee came, arrived in the Kivu in 94, that region was already, a hot region from this point of view, and the Mobutu regime was about to collapse at that time, because if you want, Mobutu was a dictator supported by the Western, by US, by Europe, some UK and Belgium, to try to stop the communism in Central Africa, in the expansion of communism. So at the end of the Cold War, the communism was not there anymore. So Mobutu had become unuseful, and the regime was not supported anymore by the Western country. It was about to collapse, etc. etc. So it's a long, long crisis. And let me just add something. And when you look at the history of Congo, let's say more in the longue durée, this is not the first time that something like that happened, because even before the colonization, this region of Congo, we know we had some, let's say, local bands, group militia, fighting for, at that time, it was ivory and slaves. Then during the Belgian colonization, no, Congo was a personal colony of King Leopold of Belgium at the beginning. The big business was rubber at that time,
Oh,
because
yeah.
and so millions of Congolese died because of this no, extreme form of violent capitalism, violent extraction. Then, in the 60s, after no, after the independence, when Lumumba was killed, we have some rebellion, the Mai Mai, the Mulele, etc., always in East Congo, where Che Guevara was fighting in the 16, because they tried to make, revolution. And now again, in the 90s, we have a new war, etc., etc. So it's somehow a country which is a bit is condemned by the fact which is so rich in so many different resources, and uh, and these resources, they do attract a predatory logic, predatory actor from outside, inside, etc., etc.
Is this generalizing this tendency to have local conflicts with economic and resource implications that attract, as you say, predators? This could be, I mean,
Somehow, yes, because I think, there is a combination of violent local political economic entrepreneur, let's say, who need the support from outsider,
mhm,
because they need weapons, they need money, etc., etc., and that somehow they make an alliance with, some actors outside the country in order, to
mhm,
uh, to predate the country, etc., etc. So there is always kind of alliance between local violent strong men, let's say,
mhm.
and outsider. Can be Rwanda, can be, but even the colonization somehow it was like that. There was some local,
Yes,
and
yes.
so this logic. Now maybe I made it a bit simple, but this logic, you know, is the logic of, let's say, a longue durée. It's not something new. When you look at the history
Long-term
of Congo,
logic, yes.
exactly, long-term logic, it's not something new in the history of Congo. No, that's why, yes, everything changed. And now we are speaking about, coltan. We don't speak anymore about ivory. We don't speak about rubber, etc., etc. No, everything has changed, but somehow the logic is a bit the same.
Yes. That fight for resources,
Mm.
and it's the local people actually that pay the price.
Yeah, I usually say that these are, somehow global conflict, because,
Mm,
is a conflict, the resources, the Congolese don't use these resources. So, these resources, they have a global network, etc., etc., but it's local sufferance, local suffering, somehow.
mhm.
So it's a bit like, I don't know, I would say like in Colombia for cocaine, no?
Yeah.
Somehow, it's a bit the same logic. The fact that people they do suffer in Colombia, but of course this war economy based on cocaine, based on mineral, etc. It's why it's global. It's a global economy because it's something
Yes.
which we use in Europe, in everywhere.
Hmm. So we'll keep an eye on all these things.
Yeah,
And thank you very much for this. I will keep in touch. Maybe we can discuss the follow-up of this situation or something else
with
happening
pleasure.
in your area of expertise. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Join the conversation at Fair Observer and subscribe to our YouTube channel.